What is the S&P 500? Explained in simple terms. Have you ever heard someone talk about the S&P 500 and thought, what on earth does that mean? You're not alone. This three-letter acronym is one of the most powerful concepts in investing, and yet, most people don't fully understand it. But here's the thing. Understanding the S&P 500 could be the key to unlocking your financial future. Whether you're looking to invest for the first time or make smarter decisions about your money, the S&P 500 is a foundational piece of the puzzle. So, what exactly is the S&P 500? And why should you care? By the end of this video, I promise you'll know exactly what it is, why it matters, and how it could be your ticket to building wealth. Stay with me. Let's dive in and make the complex simple. Why people struggle to understand the S&P 500? Here's the problem. The world of finance is filled with confusing terms. S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, the list goes on. And for many people, these terms can seem like a foreign language. I mean, let's be real. If you're not a finance expert, these terms can sound like the world's most boring alphabet soup. But here's the real issue. These terms aren't just random words. They represent massive opportunities for building wealth, and you can't afford to ignore them. So why do we hear about the S&P 500 all the time? And why should it matter to you? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know why the S&P 500 is one of the easiest and smartest ways to grow your money over time. Let's clear the confusion. First, let's talk about what the S&P 500 actually is. Breaking down the S&P 500.1. What is the S&P 500? Simply put, the S&P 500 is an index. But wait, what does that even mean? An index is essentially a collection of stocks that represent a part of the market. Specifically, the S&P 500 tracks the performance of 500 of the largest publicly traded companies in the United States. Think of it like a Snapchat story of the US stock market. It's a way to quickly and easily see how some of the biggest companies in the country are performing. Imagine if you could scroll through your Insta feed and instead of selfies, you got a snapshot of how Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla are doing. That's the S&P 500. But here's the thing. This isn't just a random group of companies. Let's dive into why these 500 companies are so important. Point 2. Why are these 500 companies important? These 500 companies are a huge part of the US economy. They span various industries: tech, healthcare, consumer goods, and even energy, representing the diversity and strength of the American economy. In fact, they make up about 80% of the total value of the US stock market. So when the S&P 500 goes up or down, it's a direct reflection of how the US economy is performing. It's like a mirror to the health of the economy itself. And here's why this matters. If you're not paying attention to the S&P 500, you're missing out on tracking some of the most valuable assets in the world. But how do these companies impact you as an investor? Well, there's a big opportunity here that most people miss. Let's talk about that next. So, how does the S&P 500 actually help you as an investor? Why should you care about it when it comes to your own wealth building strategy? Why the S&P 500 should matter to you, point 3. The S&P 500 as a wealth building tool. Here's the truth. The S&P 500 is one of the most powerful wealth building tools you can use. Over the long term, it's delivered an average return of about 7 to 10% per year after inflation. Think about that for a second. 7 to 10% per year. Compounded over time, that's the type of growth that can turn a small investment into something substantial. Imagine you put just $1,000 into an S&P 500 index fund today. With consistent growth, that money could grow to over $7,000 in 30 years without doing anything extra. Not bad for just letting your money do the work. This is the magic of compounding. So, if the S&P 500 is such a great investment, why don't more people know about it? Point 4. Low maintenance investing. The beauty of investing in the S&P 500 is that it's low maintenance. Unlike individual stocks, you don't have to spend hours researching, tracking, and buying stocks. Instead, you can just set it and forget it. Imagine investing in a single index fund that tracks the S&P 500. You don't need to buy individual stocks. You don't need to time the market, and you don't have to deal with complicated strategies. It's basically like ordering fast food for your financial future. It's quick, easy, and it just works. But wait, here's something most people don't realize. There's a major advantage to this kind of investing, and it's all about the fees. Why the S&P 500 is one of the best ways to invest. Point 5, the advantage of low fees. When you invest in the S&P 500 through an index fund or ETF, you're typically paying very low fees, a lot lower than actively managed funds. Most S&P 500 index funds charge less than 0.1% annually, compared to 1 to 2% for actively managed funds. These fees might seem small, but over time, they can really add up. In fact, paying lower fees means more money stays in your pocket and can be reinvested to grow even further. Low fees are like a secret weapon that allows your money to work harder for you. And it's one of the reasons why S&P 500 investing is so powerful. So let's recap everything we've learned. How can the S&P 500 work for you in the long term? Point 6, the long-term strategy. Here's the takeaway: investing in the S&P 500 is a strategy that pays off over time. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about building wealth slowly, steadily, and securely. By putting your money in the S&P 500, you're betting on the growth of the US economy. And if history has shown us anything, it's that the market tends to go up over the long term. Don't wait. The earlier you start, the more time you give your money to grow. You don't need to be a stock-picking expert. Just start with the S&P 500. And if you need an excuse to get started today, just remember, tomorrow is always too late to start investing. So there you have it. The S&P 500 isn't just a boring index, it's one of the easiest and most effective ways to build wealth. And now that you understand what it is and how it works, there's nothing stopping you from taking action. If you're ready to start investing in the S&P 500, smash that like button, subscribe for more tips on building wealth, and start taking control of your financial future today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.